morning, students. Sairam. Students, I hope that you all are fine and healthy. As you all know that in the previous video, we have completed the first part of the second unit, Sound of Music. Now, today in this video, we are going to complete the second part of Sound of Music, that is about Bismillah Khan. So, let us begin. This chapters gives us the life story of Bismillah Khan. Bismillah Khan, who belongs to the music industry, and he made such a mark in this industry that he became Ustad Bismillah Khan. He played Shehnai and he became the Shehnai Maestro. Shehnai Maestro, that means masters in Shehnai. He was the master of Shehnai. That's why he was known as Ustad, the one who is the guru or who is expert in playing something, that is known as maestro. So he was a maestro in Shehnai, in playing Shehnai. And this story also tell us that how Shehnai came into origin, that how an instrument changed into such a way that it became Shehnai. So that instrument which was renewed, that was the very old instrument, that is known as pungi. So let us begin with the explanation of this chapter. The first stanza says that Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of a musical instrument called pungi in the royal residence, for it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Here the first stanza tell us that it is a story during the time when the Mughals were ruling, and the Mughal which was ruling at that time was Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb banned the musical instrument in his court. The instrument which he banned was pungi. And why he banned this instrument? Because this instrument make a very shrill, unpleasant sound. Shrill means very sharp sound, which is very harsh for us to hear. It is very harsh for us and for our ears also. So it was very harsh for our ears to listen to such an unpleasant sound. So that's why Aurangzeb banned this musical instrument in his court, and that instrument was pungi. So this is the image of the musical instrument pungi. As you can see here, I can zoom it for you. So it make very shrill and unpleasant sound, and that's why it was banned during the Mughal period. Here the writer tell us that any instrument which was made up of reeds are the water plants from which the musical instruments are made. All these instruments were classified as pungi, or the generic name was given to all those musical instruments which produce sound by blowing the wind into the instrument. Like you can see flute, when we use wind or when we blew air into that flute, the melodious sound is produced. All such instruments were named as or given the generic name as pungi. Now, as Aurangzeb had banned all these reeded instruments, everyone was in confusion whether they will ever see these instruments, musical instruments, or not. A barber of a family of professional musicians who had access to the royal palace decided to improve the tonal quality of the pungi. So here we got to know that the person who decided to change or to renew the pungi was a barber who belongs to the professional musician, and these professional musicians have the permission or access. Here it is written access to the royal palace, that means they have the permission to enter in the royal palace. And from where he got to know that pungi was banned, and now he decided that I'll change the quality of the sound produced by pungi. So what he did, one day that barber took a hollow stem which is empty from inside. He took that, and that stem was much longer and broader in size than compared to pungi. So he made 7 holes on the body of that stem, just like we can see on the flute. And then he blew the air into the pipe, and he closed and opened different. Now when he had made that 7 holes and it was completed, now he blew air into that instrument. And as you know, when we play flute, we have to close certain holes and we have to leave certain holes open. So this is how a melodious sound is produced from the flute also. In the same way, barber also did the same thing. He closed certain holes and he opened certain holes, and in this way he produced a very melodious sound. And now he decided that I will play this instrument in the royal court. He went there and he played this instrument in the royal court. Everyone was very much impressed and they all liked the melodious sound produced by that instrument. Everybody thought that this instrument was very much different from pungi, so we should name this instrument something different. So there was a story behind this Shehnai, how it was named as Shehnai. Actually, it was first played in the court of Shah, and it was played by a Nai. Nai means barber, and that's why it was named as Shehnai. So the sound of the Shehnai was so melodious that it began to be considered as auspicious. Auspicious means good omen. It was considered lucky for any good occasion. So that's why from that day it was started playing in the temples, and till now we can see them being played in the North Indian wedding. They are the indispensable component. They are the very important, or you can say that they are the necessary component of any North Indian wedding. We got to know that Shehnai was considered auspicious. It was started to be played in the temple in the wedding. And now royal court have also included Shehnai in the Naubat. Naubat means the group of 9 instruments which were played in the royal court. So Shehnai was included in that Naubat also. The Shehnai was still played in the temples and in the weddings, but it was Ustad Bismillah Khan who brought this Shehnai on the classical stage. After Ustad Bismillah Khan, it was being started to be played on the stages. So the credit of bringing the Shehnai on the classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. Now the story begins about Ustad Bismillah Khan. We got to know that in the last passages that how pungi was changed into Shehnai. Now we will read about the life story of Ustad Bismillah Khan. So when Ustad Bismillah Khan was 5 years old, he was living in Dumrao in Bihar, and there he used to play gilli danda. At the age of 5, it is described that at the age of 5, he was playing gilli danda near the pond in Dumrao in Bihar. And he often used to go to the Biharji temple in Bihar, where he used to sing Chaita in Bhojpuri. And for singing this, he was being rewarded. With laddu. That laddu weigh 1.25 kg, and he get this reward for singing Chaita. And this reward is presented by the local Maharaj. Now, in the next stanza, the writer is telling us that it took 80 years for Bismillah Khan to earn the highest civilian award. He traveled the distance from Laddu as a reward to the highest civilian award in India, Bharat Ratna. Bismillah Khan was born on 21st March 1960, and he belonged to a well-known family of the musician from Bihar. His grandfather, Rasool Baks Khan, was the Shehnai Nawaz at the Bhojpur's King Court. His father, Paigambar Baks, and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. So Bismillah Khan ji also started learning music at a very small age. So when he was very small, his mother took him to his parents' house, to his maternal uncles. Maternal uncles mean uncles which belongs from our mother's side, that are known as maternal uncles, and they lived in Banaras. And when Bismillah Khan saw his maternal uncle playing Shehnai, he was attracted towards it, and he also wanted to learn to play it. Soon, Bismillah Khan started accompanying his uncle Ali Baksh to the Vishnu temple of Banaras, where where Ali Baksh was employed, or he was given the duty to play the Shehnai. And when Bismillah Khan saw his uncle playing the Shehnai, he got attracted toward it so much that he would listen it. He would listen it sitting there for hours and hours. Gradually, Bismillah Khan also started learning to play the Shehnai, and he would practice that throughout the day. And he never got tired by doing so. For many years, for coming many years, he used to go to Balaji temple, Mangala Maya temples, and the bank of Ganga, which became a place for practice for this young child. He used to go to these places, and there he would sit for hours and hours and would practice for play one would practice to play the Shehnai. Here we come to know about the talent of Ustad Bismillah Khan, that he was so inspired and motivated by the river Ganga that it would provoke him to perform. And he also invented many more ragas which he can play on the Shehnai. It was impossible to play ragas on the Shehnai, but he actually got so much influence and motivated by the river Ganga that he invented such ragas that he can play on Shehnai. And he worked very hard to produce different sounds from the Shehnai. At the age of 14, when Ustad Bismillah Khan accompanied his uncle Ali Baksh to the Allahabad Music Conference, at the end of that conference, Ustad Fayaz Khan, who was the recital or was the singer in that music conference, he patted the back of the young boy and he said that if you will work hard, you will one day you will achieve highest, or you can say one day you will achieve what you want to achieve. So he was being praised by Ustad Fayaz Khan, and he got his first break in the year 1938 when the All India Radio started its radio station in Lucknow, and he often used to perform the Shehnai on the radio. So when India got independence on 15 August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shehnai, and he played the Shehnai from the Red Fort on this occasion. He played the rag. That rag was known as Rag Kafi. He played it from the Red Fort. And after his performance, the first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, gave his famous speech, Tryst with Destiny. Now, Bismillah Khan gave many performances in India and abroad also, and some of them are memorable. Like one of them, that he first time he visited, or he first time he went abroad to Afghanistan, and there the king of Afghanistan, who was Zahir Shah, really liked Bismillah Khan's performance, and he gifted him many things which were made in Afghanistan, like Persian carpets and etc. etc. So that Ustad Bismillah Khan would remember his first visit abroad, that was to Afghanistan. The king of Afghanistan was not only the one who was fascinated with Bismillah Khan music, but even the film director Vijay Bhatt was so impressed that after hearing Bismillah Khan playing Shehnai, he named a film after this instrument, and the name was Goonj Uthi Shehnai. Bismillah Khan got a lot of success in this film, but he composed music for only two films. The name of the music was Goonj Uthi Shehnai, made by Vijay Bhatt, and Kannada movie made by Vikram Srinivas called Sanadi Appanna. Ustad Bismillah Khan would say that he did not like the artificial world of film and the glamour that was there in the film world. So there was two things that he doesn't like about the Bollywood or the film industry. Was that first, it was the artificial world, and second, there was glamour in this world, and that's why he stay away from this film industry, and he never produced any other music for the film industry. That was why he didn't compose any music for the film industry. Bismillah Khan got lot of recognition and was honored with awards. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. He also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal, in the Cannes Art Festival, and in the Osaka Trade Fair. So these were the festivals or occasions where he traveled abroad and he performed in these functions. So well known he became internationally that an auditorium in Tehran is in Iran, so it was named after him, Tehran Mosque Ustad Bismillah Khan. National awards like Padam Shri, the Padma Bhushan, the Padma Vibhushan were conferred on him. Were conferred means that he was awarded with these awards also. In 2001, Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded with India's highest civilian award, that is the Bharat Ratna. With the coveted award resting on his chest and his eye glinting with rare happiness, he said, "All I would like to say is, teach your children music. This is Hindustan's richest tradition. Even the West is now coming to earn our music." So here he says that when he received the award in 2001, the highest civilian award of India, the Bharat Ratna, he was holding his award, and he said a very beautiful line to the peoples that I just want one thing, that you all should make your children learn the Indian music, because now even the West want to learn this music from us. So that's what he want to convey to the people. And in spite of traveling all over the world, Khan Saab, as he is fondly called, he was called by many people as Khan Saab. That means everyone used to call him Khan Saab. He is very much fond of the Banaras, where he lived with his maternal uncle, and Dumrao, where he spent his childhood. He was really fond of with these two places, and they remain for him the most wonderful town in this world. He was very much attached to both of these places. The first one was Banaras and second one was Dumrao. A student of his once said that he should open a Shehnai school in US, and he would recreate the temples of Banaras in US. But Ustad Bismillah Khan said that, can you create or can you bring river Ganga to US? And from here we come to know that Khan Sahib was very much obsessed with river Ganga. He was so much motivated, or he was so much in love with river Ganga, that he don't want to live anywhere else than Banaras, because he was motivated and fascinated by river Ganga. And that's the reason that he didn't left India and he didn't went abroad. Later he is remembered to have said that, that's why whenever I am in foreign country, I keep yearning to see Hindustan. While in Mumbai, I think of only Banaras and the Holy Ganga. And while in Banaras, I miss the unique Matha of Dumrao. So he said that whenever I am abroad, I miss my Banaras and River Ganga. And whenever I am in Banaras, I miss the Matha of Dumrao. So he is very much attached to his childhood places where he lived, where he spent his childhood, that is Dumrao and Banaras, and especially River Ganga. Ustad Bismillah Khan passed away on 21st August 2006 at the age of 90 after a prolonged illness, and he was given a state funeral, and the government of India declared one day of national mourning for his death. So I hope you have understood this chapter Bismillah Khan, and on the explanation of this chapter I have given certain questions as a home assignment to you. And student, I request you all that whatever home assignment is given to you, you should do that home assignment in a notebook. That can be your old notebook or any rough notebook, but you should do all the questions given as a home assignment in these notebook only. Thank you students.